Hello viewers, you are welcome to ABKM Medics. In today's class, we're going to talk about introduction to skeletal system. Skeletal system is one of the systems in human body which has to do with the study of the skeleton. Skeleton is the bony framework of the body which provide movement and also maintain the body posture. Here we have two types of skeleton. We have the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton, from its synonyms, means important, meaning the bones that are made up of axial skeleton are more important in the body. And what are the bones that are made up of axial skeleton? We have the skull, we have the vertebral column, and we have the rib cage. These bones are the bones that are made up of axial skeleton. While secondly, we have the appendicular skeleton. Appendicular skeleton, from its name, appendages. Appendages means to support, meaning they are those bones that support the axial skeleton. And what are examples of bones that are made up of axial skeleton? They are the bones of the arms, the bones of the legs, There are also the pelvic girdle. This is the pelvic girdle, and also the pectoral girdle, meaning bones around the chest. They are the bones that are made up the appendicular skeleton. They are bones that support the axial skeleton. They are called supporting bones. Then here we have the bones. What are bones? Bones are hard connective tissues found all around the body. In average adults, it's made up of about 206 bones. So today we are going to discuss these bones based on types and classifications. Based on types, we're having two types of bones, where we have the compact bone and the spongy bone. The compact bone is the outer tough part of the bone, looking smooth physically, and it's most the tougher part of the bone. You can see it from the model here. This is what we call the compact bone. Then by the time you pierce out the compact bone, there's a bone inward which look rough in structure. And this bone is known as spongy bone. These are two types of bones we have. Then coming to classifications of bone, bones are classified based on long bone, short bone, flat bone, irregular bone, sesame bone, sutural bone, or wormier bone. Here we'll talk about long bone. The reason why they are called long bone because they has two extremities and the middle shaft, and that is why they are called the long bones. In human body, we have about 90 long bones. Then what example of the long bones? Example of the long bones is the humerus, the ulnar and radius, the femur, and the tibia and fibula. These are examples of long bones. Then, secondly, we have the short bones. Short bones, they are bones found in the body which are boxy in nature and looking short. An example of short bones are the bones of the wrist. Here we have about 8 bones of the wrist. They are example of short bone. And also the bones of the ankle. Here the ankle is made up of short bones. They are example of also short bones. And in the human body we have about 28 short bones. Then going to the third one, which is the flat bone. Flat bone, they are those bones that covers delicate structures in the body, meaning vital organs in the body, and they are made up of flat surfaces. Example of flat bones are some bones of the skull, especially that of cranial bone. Skull is made up of two types of bones, which we have the cranial bone and the facial bones. But specifically the cranial bones, they are example of the flat bone because they covers the brain. Then apart from skull, we also have the rib cage. The rib cage here is an example of the flat bone because it covers structures like the heart and the lungs. And when you look at the rib cage, is made up of bones like the sternum, which is flat in nature, the ribs, which are flat in nature, and also the scapula, which is the backbone, which is also flat in nature. And that is why rib cage tends to be an example of flat bone. And in the human body, we have about 36 flat bones. Then the next is the irregular bone. Irregular bones, they are those bones in the body that do not have definite shape. These bones don't have definite shape. And what are example of irregular bones? Like some bones of the skull too. We just mentioned the cranial bones the other time that they are flat bone. This time the facial bones, some of the facial bones are example of irregular bone because they do not have definite shape. And apart from facial bone, we have the vertebral column. The bones of the vertebra, they are example of irregular bones because they do not have definite shape. Then also the pelvic. The pelvic itself is also an irregular bone because it does not have definite shape. Then we in the human body we have about 48 irregular bones. Then the next one is the sesamoid bones. The sesamoid bones, they are bones in the body which develop from continuation of the tendons. Here we have two parts in the body where you can see sesamoid bone, such as the patella. The patella here is an example of sesamoid bone that anchor or to attach itself to the tibia and the fibula together with the femur to form the knee joint. The patella here is an example of sesamoid bone. Apart from patella, we also have the pisiform bone. On top of the wrist bones, there are bones that develop from tendon of that of ulnus and radius forms the pisiform bone. This is exactly the pisiform bone. Is an example of sesamoid bone. The reason why they are called sesamoid bone because their shape look like a sesame seed. That is why they are called the sesamoid bones. Here we have the sutural bone, or you call it Womian bone. These bones, they are bones that connect the skull together. When you look at the skull carefully, there are demarcations we call the sutures. They are actually bones, but they connect the part of the skulls or bones of the skulls together, and that is why they are classified as also bones.